And good morning, good morning, good morning to you. My name is Kunle Ologe, Marriage Counsellor and founder of the Marriage Seal Academy. And you're welcome to our Friday Live. And we come to you like this every Friday, teaching you one thing on marriage. And of course, this Friday is not going to be different from every other Friday. Again, we're here to teach you on marriage. And please confirm that you can hear me. Just confirm there in the comment section that you can actually hear me and you can see me. I can see myself, I can hear myself, but confirm to me that you can hear me and see me. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And I can see that many of you are already here, waited, seated. I see that Adana, you are the first to be here. Good morning to you. An hour ago, you've been seated. I see you, Cordelia. I see you, Precious. Oma, Mercy, Reina, I see you all. Vera, how you doing, Vera? I see you. Christian, how you doing, sir? All right, great, great, great. So everybody can hear me loud and clear. So today we're going to be talking about a very important topic again in just 1 hour. So between 11 and 12, we will be talking about how to thrive in a marriage affected by distance. How to thrive in a marriage affected by distance. And I'm so happy you're here. Remember our rule every Friday. We always tell you that if the marriages around you are bad, your marriage is at risk. So have you invited somebody? Have you invited somebody to come and watch this? Send these links everywhere. Send it in your groups, in your alumni groups, send it in your church groups, send it at work right now. You're at work right now. Send it to all your colleagues, send it to everybody, and let them come and learn this secret that we're going to be sharing today on how to thrive in a marriage affected by distance. Okay. Good, 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 good. So we're going to kick in immediately because we don't have all the time. We have just an hour, and we must do this in this 1 hour and ensure that we finish it. So let's ride on, right? But have you invited? If you've invited 10 people, once you've invited 10 people, please put it there in the comment section that I've invited 10 people, and then we'll go on. How to thrive in a marriage affected by distance. The first thing I'll tell you is that distance in marriage, for whatever reason, can strain the strongest bonds you have. So, distance can strain the strongest bond that you have. It doesn't matter the kind of bond you think you have, distance will strain it. Because marriage was not designed by God for husband and wife to live differently. Marriage was actually designed by God for husbands and wives to live together. So once you change the design in anything you do when it comes to marriage, once you change the design of God, you will realize that there will be issues that you may not be able to handle. Check it in the Bible. When Abraham moved from his father and mother, he moved with his wife Sarah. When Isaac moved from place to place, he moved with his wife. When Moses moved, from the wilderness back to Egypt and out back into the wilderness, he moved with his wife. Everybody moved with their wives in the Bible. People didn't leave their wives and go. In fact, in the Bible, in the culture of the Hebrews, if you got married newly, you are not allowed to go to war. If you got married, you were instructed to stay with your wife, I think, if I remember well, for a year before you can even go to war and come back. So that's how important the bond of marriage is. It was designed for husband and wives to live together and not to live separately. So if for whatever reason, because there are some genuine reasons why people will live separately. But if for whatever reason you need to live separately, it must be only for a while. Only for a while. Oh, and Cordelia is saying, this is my story. Lived apart from my husband for 10 years. Now we're struggling to build back the connection. That's a problem. So, yes, for a while, you just travel and come back. That's fine. That's inevitable. But the one that you are living in one state and your husband is living in another, or you're living in one country and your husband is living in another, or your wife is living in another country, or another state, or another city, that one is a challenge. It affects everything in the marriage, starting from the relationship, the bond, and then, of course, eventually affects the children, and then affects every other thing that you're doing. Living separately should only be for a while. Let's take a look at some of the reasons people have distance in marriage. Let's take a look at some of those reasons. Number one, work. Yes, work can take you away and have the husband living in one place, the wife living in one place, because probably you don't have control over the work. That's the first phase or the first type. When you don't have control over the work, you are living in the same place before, but you were posted by your workplace and transferred. And so probably when you got to where you were transferred to, you looked at it, it may not have been an environment where you want to move your family to, or it may not be cost effective to move your family there. So work can actually cause separation. So your spouse has been sent to one place and then you are stuck in the other place. Maybe your own work also will not transfer you, so you can't move also. So it's a genuine reason. However, as genuine as it is, the question is, are there alternatives? The answer is yes. One of the alternatives would have been for you to request to be transferred back to where your spouse is. But you'll find out that some people have that opportunity and will not agree because they want, in quotes, freedom. I always ask, if you want freedom, why did you get married? Because the truth of the matter is that there's no absolute freedom anywhere. Freedom is relative. You can be free in one thing and bound in another thing. So there's no absolute freedom anywhere. But some people will say, well, I want to be free. So let me allow my spouse to be in one place and then I'll go and work in another place. Then I will now be visiting. You now become a visiting spouse. Like you're visiting in boarding house. So you become a visiting spouse. You come visiting once in 3 months. Some once in 6 months. Some once in a year. Some once in 5 years. So that's the first kind of work, the one that you were transferred. So it wasn't your choice. And that one is understandable, but I have just told you can request to be transferred back. You can get your spouse to request to be transferred to wherever it is that you are. These are options that are available. The next one is the one you choose yourself. So you choose to go and find work somewhere else, greener pastures. And a lot of people right now are doing that. You have, like in our Nigerian parlance, we call it jackpot. So you have jackpot to another country. According to you, you want to go and get greener pastures. There's nothing wrong with getting greener pastures, but if you have chosen greener pastures, then you need to go with your family. You need to make a plan where you and your family actually go for these greener pastures. If you can't do that, then you would rather stay. Because the greener pastures you're talking about is not as if you are dying where you are. And you can actually get the greener pastures there. But if you choose and you say where God has designed you to be is outside your country, that's fine. But make the plan with your family. Life is about choices. You know that, right? I had a counseling session some years ago, and while we were talking, it was the lady, it was a husband and a wife. The lady now said, well, all of this has been caused because they were, you know, they moved to another country, or she moved to another country, just to get greener pastures for the family. That all of this that is happening is because she was trying to get the family better. And I paused her in her tracks, and I asked her, were you chased from Nigeria? Are you one of those that were seeking asylum? Did you not leave the family that you say you're looking, I mean, the greener pastures, did you not leave them in Nigeria? So it was a choice. So I told her, since you made that choice, you should have known that there were consequences to that choice. There were consequences to that choice. Emmanuel Eni Idowu says, this is my story too. Different states in Nigeria. Reina says, I remember when my hubby said he wanted to travel abroad for PhD schooling. Yours truly went to hide his passport. I can't deal with distant relationship. How much more marriage? Now that's a funny one. Reina, I didn't know this story. So you need to understand that it's a choice you made. That choice will affect something. There is always something to sacrifice. I'm sure you've heard me saying that over and over again. There is always something to sacrifice. So when you make this kind of choices, you are sacrificing your marriage. So don't hinge it on the choice, hinge it on yourself. You made the choice. The choice didn't make itself. The other one of transfer, like you're a military person, you get transferred here and there. Yes, that is kind of out of your hands. But there are some that you're the one that transferred yourself. The next reason is school. So some people will say, well, school, I want to upgrade myself, want to go and get a PhD, go and get a master's, want to go and get another degree. And that's good, because life is continuous capacity building. So that's very, very good. However, what are you willing to sacrifice? Again, this sacrifice matter is coming out. The school you want to do, could you have done it online? Thank God, right now there are options to do schooling online, masters, PhD. So could you have taken that online route? Or could you have gone with your family to do the schooling? Again, it was a choice. So don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with going to try to school to improve your capacity. But when you are making such plans, what's the plan of your family in there? And I like this that Dr. Happiness says. She says, that desire for freedom comes from a lack of accountability. People don't want to be held accountable for their actions. And I agree with you 120%. So when you don't want to be held accountable for your actions, then you want to run away, in quote, so that you are free to do whatever it is. And the truth of the matter, many people who fall into this category, that those things you want to do are not wrong. They are not right. You know it. Have you invited somebody? Is somebody here on your instance? Have you called somebody and said, there's something here that you need to come and watch? Please send out this link to 10 people, like we said, so that people can come here and watch. Remember, if the marriages around you are bad, your marriage is at risk. All right, so let's move on. Another reason for distance in marriage is conflict. So when a husband and a wife have conflict, there's bound to be distance in that marriage. So you see a situation where, well, not that there's bound, let's say in some situations, there will be distance in that marriage. So because there's a conflict that is not resolved, one will just pack his load or her load and move. And say, you know what, I can't stay with you again in this house. I need some space. I need some space. So conflict is another reason that um, people live distant or have a distance within them. And I've seen this in my work very much, where people have a conflict, they don't resolve it. One person just picks his bag or her bag and move out of the house. That's why it is important for you to be able to resolve conflicts. Conflict resolution skills, very, very important. Later on, later on this year, I think it's going to be next month, we're going to have a course, resolving conflicts in marriage. You should look out for that course when the adverts come out, so that whenever you have a conflict, instead of running away, you can sit down and have a conversation. Sit down and have a conversation. The next reason is legal separation. Of course, this now is when a conflict has now degenerated into a point where you say, okay, I'm not just moving away for 2 days or 1 week or 1 month. I want a separation. So it's not an absolute divorce, but legally you are separated, which means you put some caveats around how the other person gets close to you, for you put restraining orders. For some reason, you are legally separated but not divorced, which means you are still married but not living together. And this happens a lot. And it's even becoming more and more, especially for people who are in diaspora. So we're having more and more people getting legally separated from their spouses. It can be for domestic violence sometimes, emotional abuse. Talking about domestic violence, as a counselor, when there is domestic violence in a marriage, I usually tell the person who is the victim to move away and separate. This may not be legally separated, or they may not be legally separated, but separate first, because we don't want a situation where there is injury or fatality. And so let there be a separation first. So if you could not hold yourself and you hit your husband or you hit your wife, then let the person leave you for a while, so that you don't kill the person before we find out what is wrong with you. But when you now go to court to, institute a case and get the court to give a pronouncement for separation, then that's legal separation. So yes, some people have distance in their marriage because of legal separation. Then, of course, the one that goes beyond separation, some people actually get divorced. So when the two say that, look, I don't think this can work again, let's just go our separate ways, they go also to a court and get the court to dissolve the marriage, which means you are no longer married. You no longer owe the other person any accountability. You go and the other person goes. If you have children, then there will be a hearing on how the custody of the children will be, whether it's going to be with the husband or with the wife, or if you're going to share custody, whatever it is. So divorce is the final straw. And that is another reason for separation or distance in marriage. Now, closely related to this separation, general separation, is what is now called living apart together. Living apart together, LAT. It's becoming a very, very significant trend. Let me use that word, significant trend, because it's happening now where two people agree that it's better for us to live apart. So they're not separated, they're not divorced, but they just feel, you know what, I think we can handle this relationship if two of us live separately. So that relationship, that they still like the relationship, but they just feel that we're coming back again to that freedom matter. So they just feel, I need some freedom, and I think this relationship will be better and stronger if we live separately. Then, from time to time, we just come together, and then live separately, and then just come together. That is an evil arrangement. Let me quickly say it in case it is coming into the heart of anybody. That is evil. Yes, you heard me. It's evil. Why would you get married and then both of you mutually agree to live separately? Because you feel that some people will tell you it even spices up the marriage. So let's live separately, then we'll miss each other and then we'll come back together. That's evil. So please, let's be careful what we adopt in our marriage. There are some things we adopt in our marriage that are wrong. I had a couple who came to me, they live in the diaspora, and they came to me because they had gone to see a counselor where they were living, and they had an issue with with intimacy, sex in their marriage. And so they went to see this counselor. And the counselor advised them to swing, that swinging may help. You know what swinging is, right? So it means that two of you, a couple, will go and look for another couple, then you exchange. Husband goes with the other wife, wife goes with the other husband. So from time to time, you people meet and exchange and have sex with the other person. So it's also an arrangement, an agreement. That's another evil one. There are a lot of things that are actually happening that are actually evil. And we need to be very careful with what it is that we hear. Be careful who you go to for counseling. Please. It's not every counselor that is godly. Some counselors will give you counsel that you will know that this is outright evil. So please, let's be very, very careful. Look for a Christian counselor. People come to me because I'm a Christian counselor. I counsel you based on the Bible. So be very careful who you go to. Talking about counseling, when you have an issue in your marriage that you can't resolve, that's husband and wife, you've tried to sit down to talk about an issue and you are not able to resolve it, please don't leave it and say, well, this one is going to be our cross to carry. No, nobody gave you that cross to carry. You gave yourselves. What you need to do is sit down with a counselor. This year alone, I've counseled over 130 couples from all around the world. So I'm constantly every day counseling couples. If you have issues, please stop sitting down. The issues only get worse, they don't get better. You need to book a counseling session, sit down with me, and let's talk about it. Don't go to your pastor if your pastor is not a trained counselor. There are some pastors who are trained in counseling. That's beautiful. In fact, that's very powerful. But if your pastor is not a trained counselor, he may not know what to tell you. Don't go to your parents, your siblings, your relatives, your friends. All these people will be biased. And if you go to them and they are biased, the information they will give you will be biased information. So come to a counselor. If you need counseling, the numbers are scrolling down there on the screen. Please reach out to those numbers for counseling so that your lives can be better in marriage. All right. So we're going to move now to talk about how to now manage the issue of distance, because distance must not destroy a marriage. There are some times where the distance is inevitable. I've given you some of the instances. So distance should not destroy the marriage. There are some you've already separated now. You went for work, you went for school. So I'm not going to tell you kill the school or kill the work. There needs to be a way to manage the situation now until you can get back together. But ultimately, you must get back together. That's the ultimate thing. So we're going to be telling you those steps that you need to take. There are about 8 steps that you need to consider if you are living separately. 8 steps that you must consider if you are living separately. So we're going to take those 8 steps now. But before we do that, let's take a water break. And once we're back, we will be taking those steps again. So watch this in a minute and we'll be back.
breaks down, the spark begins. Marriage is a beautiful journey, a sacred bond filled with love, laughter, and purpose. But like every journey, it's not always smooth. Sometimes the road gets rocky, misunderstandings arise, communication breaks down, the spark begins to fade. But here's the truth: you don't have to face it alone. Just as you wouldn't drive through a storm without guidance, you shouldn't navigate the storms of marriage without the right direction. That's where marital counseling comes in, not as a last resort, but as a lifeline.
So tell me
A
what
safe
exactly
space where hearts are had, perspectives are restored, and love is rekindled. Don't just hope your marriage gets better, work towards it with wisdom, clarity, and practical tools that create lasting change. With over a decade of proven experience, Kunle Ologe has guided countless couples back to connection and purpose through biblical principles, compassionate listening, and practical counsel that works. Whether you're newly married, feeling distant, or at the edge of giving up, there's hope and there's help. Book your virtual or on site session today with Kunle Ologe and take the first step towards healing, growth, and a marriage that thrives. Because with the right knowledge applied at the right time, your love story can be rewritten.
All right. Okay, so we are back, and I hope that you can hear me and you can see me. And I hope that you got something from that short video. Please, like I said, do book for your counseling session. Let's sit down and have conversations. It will be my privilege to help you to navigate out of whatever quagmire you are in your marriage. And by the way, people have asked me before that can you come alone for counseling if your spouse declines coming? And the answer is yes, you can come alone. Let's have that conversation first. We'll dig up from your own end, whatever it is that you think the problem is, and then we'll begin to take steps to bring both of you to come for counseling. And yes, eventually that spouse of yours that will say he will not or she will not come for counseling will eventually come for counseling if you take the right steps. All right. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And good morning to you, Jamila. I see you and I greet you. All right. Let's move on. So, how do you manage this situation of distance in marriage? How do you manage this situation of distance in marriage? The first thing is that you need to define your version of us. Who are we? That's husband and wife. Who are you? Have you defined that version? This is very important because a lot of people are in marriage and they've not defined how their marriage should be. Of course, this is why you should get that book of mine, Building Your Marriage Plan. A lot of people are in marriage, but they've not sat down to say, this is going to be our plan. This is how the marriage is going to run. So you're actually running on anyhowness, like my wife would say. So you need to define the version of us. That's the first thing. Define the version of us. Ask clarity questions like, why are we apart? What's the point? What are we trying to achieve? Why are we apart? Ask the questions of what are we building during this time that we're apart? Are you building knowledge? That's education. Fine. You're building a career, you're building wealth. You need to ask yourself. You need to ask yourself, how long will it last? This is so important. Sometimes I've met people who have separated for work, for instance, and I'm asking them, what's the plan? And they say, well, we're just trying to put things together. Let's see how it goes. I'm sure very soon is not time. Later is not time. Put a clause to it. in the next 6 months, in the next 1 year. It shouldn't be more than 1 year for any reason. It should not be more than 1 year. Once it's going beyond 1 year, I can tell you that your marriage is cracked. It doesn't matter how you feel. Oh no, we're communicating. We're talking to each other every day. If it goes beyond 1 year, your marriage is cracked. I'm dealing with too many of those marriages now that had no definition of time. And so they've done 5 years apart, 7 years apart, 10 years apart. You saw one of us, Cordelia, who said for 10 years they were apart. You need to define this thing and say, this is the time frame for us being apart. This is the time frame for us being apart. So define it. Then, what are our expectations? So in this time that we're apart, what are the expectations of what's the expectation of the husband for the wife for the husband? These are things you need to define, and that's why I say you need to define the version of us that you want. The version of us. So once both of you are able to sit down and ask these questions and put answers to these questions, then you are on your way to managing that distance. Remember the questions I said you should ask. Why are we apart? What are we building during the season? How long will it last? What are our expectations? Define your version of us. Number 2, master consistent and intentional communication. Master consistent and intentional communication. If you do not keep communication consistent, there will be issues. In fact, for those of you who are in the couples conclave, you know that we say that in a marriage, you must communicate with your spouse every day. In fact, you must create a time for at least 1 hour gisting. So we call it gisting time. In the couples conclave, we call it gisting time. So 1 hour, we're just talking. You leave your phones, leave your TV, leave everything. Face your spouse. Both of you should just talk to each other for 1 hour. And daily. So you must make it consistent. You must be intentional about it. Talk to each other every day in different ways. In the couples conclave also, we've learned communication, and there are 4 types of communication. So, just talking on the phone is one. How about sending messages during the day? You must communicate. Here are some of the things that you should talk about. Share details of your day so that it looks like the person is there with you. So at the end of the day, have a conversation, have a call. Thank God for technology. Have a video call. This is what happened to me today. The other spouse said, this is what happened to me today, so that both of you are abreast. Even if it is boring, continue. You need it. It's important. You even need it much more than the people who are staying together. What else should you communicate? Ask questions from each other about how the other person is feeling. How are you feeling? What are you going through? Are you sad? Are you happy? Are you excited? Ask. Because sometimes your spouse that is separated from you is really going through depression and you don't even know. I've had many times when people have come to me in counseling and you find out that one person is actually going through depression. The other person thinks all is well. All is well. So it is very important that you ask yourself those deep questions. How are you really feeling today? Of course, I've told you that you need to use video as much as possible, at least once a day. Yes, the other communication can be by chat and so on, but once a day, do a video call so that you can see each other. You can even be doing something. You're washing the dishes. You're talking to your spouse. While you're doing everything, let it be on video so that the person can see you. This is very, very important. That connection. needs to remain intact. And this person must not just hear you, this person must see you. This your spouse must see you. Are you following? Please put it there in the comment section if you are following. If you are following me, just say I am following. Put it there in the comment section. And of course, I've told you, these video calls, let them be scheduled. Say, okay, at this time in the day, when we're both done with work or when we're both free, we will have this call. It's even more difficult when you live in different time zones. That can be a big challenge. So you need to schedule it in a way that it doesn't affect each of you, because sometimes when you're talking to each other, somebody may be daytime, somebody may be in the nighttime. You need to be able to schedule these things. So don't just leave it to chance. Schedule these things. And I can see all of you following. Great, great, great. I'm happy that you're all here, that you're following. Because it affects everybody. Whether we like it or not, we are separate from our spouses. Sometimes you are traveling for just 1 month, 1 week, or 3 weeks. It's still a separation. It's still distance. So these things will help you to manage the distance in that time. So ensure that you master consistent and intentional communication. Very, very important. Now, number 3, be honest about loneliness and temptation. This one is very key. Please listen to me. Be honest about loneliness and temptation. When you feel lonely, let your spouse who is away from you know that I'm feeling so lonely. I miss you. It does 2 things. Number 1, it keeps you away from temptation because you're able to express yourself. When you don't speak out about a challenge you are going through, you will most likely go and do the wrong thing to solve that challenge. So instead of you now looking for another man or another woman to fill up that void, it's better you tell your spouse. So if your spouse needs to travel down immediately, let your spouse travel down. Sir, ma, did you hear what I said? There are times when your spouse is so lonely that you will need to leave what you are doing and travel down to see your spouse. You may say, oh no, that's a waste of money, waste of time. You should have thought of that before you separated, sir, ma. Yeah. So yes, it will cost you money to keep your relationship. I don't think I've touched on this. It is going to cost you money to keep your relationship that is distant. Have that at the back of your mind. That's why I said before you take that decision, consider the costs, the sacrifices. Because you need to travel sometimes. So if your spouse is so lonely that he or she cannot manage it again, then you need to find how you will meet each other. Too important. If your own separation is japa, please, before you japa, know how you're going to get flight tickets for either your spouse or yourself. Because when this person is lonely, you may need, I say may, I didn't say not all times, but there is the kind of loneliness that the person needs to see you, touch you, feel you, hold you, be with you, be intimate with you. So talk about your needs. Don't hide it. If you are lonely, say it. Even if the person cannot come, at least say it so that the person will be able to say things to you that will make you feel good. And then discuss the boundaries with the opposite sex. Don't say, oh, you now say, well, I was so lonely, I want to go and see Mr. ABC. As a husband, sir, say, you see this time that you're lonely, don't go and see Mr. ABC. As a wife, don't go and see Mrs. or Miss QRS. There need to be boundaries. You need to have boundaries when it comes to the opposite sex when you are separate. This is very, very important. I say it again, in case you didn't hear me or in case you pretended that you didn't hear me. You must create boundaries with the opposite sex when you are separated. The boundaries must be loud, which means you don't leave your house to go and visit somebody else in the person's house. That's dangerous. And I'm talking about the opposite sex. Very, very dangerous. So be very transparent with your loneliness, your weakness, your temptations. Even if when somebody has started tempting you, because you know when you are separate, there's some evil people, evil men and evil women. That's when they appear and they start telling you things. Please, when those kind of things happen, when somebody tells you something, you know you're an adult. You know when somebody is trying to pull you in, reel you in into a relationship of whatever sort. Please tell your spouse, this person in the office, the way he talked to me, the way he looked at me, the way this lady came to me, brought me things, speak about it. It will help your marriage because your spouse will also trust you better when your spouse knows that you are being open about things. So, number three, be honest and, be honest about temptations and loneliness. Number four, create shared routines and rituals. Create shared routines and rituals. So it is very important for you to have things that you do together, even in distance. What do I mean? There are activities that both of you need to do together. We call them bonding activities. In the couples conclave, we give one bonding activity every day for the couples to do. Do you know what this has done for couples? Because some people are so busy, they're here and there, and so they're not able to do things together, because doing things together helps to bond you. In your office, why do you have retreats? Why do you have activities that you do together? So it helps to bond you. So when you are separate, you must be able to do things together. That's why a place like the couples conclave is really a lifeline. It's a lifeline keeping your marriage alive. It's important for both people who live together and people who live separately. So if you live separately, at least once a week, we tell you. Sometimes we're saying go and wash dishes together. Sometimes we're saying sing a song together. Sometimes we're saying read a book together. Yes, you can do all these things in distance. You can. You want to know how? Join the couples conclave, and they will help you, teach you how to do this. It's part of the bonding. So create those shared routines and rituals. It will help you. Read books together, pray together before you go to bed, watch a series, send notes to each other, sing a song together. There's so many things that it helps you. These things help you to reinforce the we instead of the I. When you're separate, it's like I. When you do things together, it becomes we. So create those shared routines and rituals. These things, I hope you guys are taking note. I have already said that marriage is not supposed to be separate, as in husband and wife are not designed to live separately. But if it happens for any of the reasons that we discussed earlier, and if you are just joining us, please make sure you watch this again from the beginning. We already talked about the reasons people might get separated. Some of them are genuine reasons. Some are just you who made that decision. Whatever it is, you must be able to manage it. Number five, prioritize visits and physical connections where possible. Prioritize visits and physical connections where possible. I've spoken a little bit about this already. And that's where I said, make sure you have the money to travel. It will cost you money to live separately. You're going to live in different houses, that's already a cost. Different bills, that's already a cost. Then you need to be able to transport each other because you must meet physically. Don't do that thing that some people do. 7 years, you are somewhere, you are saying you are looking for greener pastures. The truth of the matter is that me and you know that in those 7 years, a lot of things, a lot of water has gone under the bridge. There will be infidelity. There will be a loss of connection. There will be, both of you will become total strangers. So please, it's important to visit. And when those visits happen, make it sacred. Don't visit to come and fight. Some people spend the time that they do visitations to fight. Fight the fight on the phone. Eh? Do the conflict resolution on the phone. So that that short time you have, let it be sacred. Let it be sacred. Very, very important. Don't use the conflict, don't use those visits to cause conflicts. That's There was no conflict before, but when you now come, you saw something that was amiss. And instead of you to nicely look for how to talk about that thing, you blow it up and it becomes a full-blown conflict. You've forgotten that you have a short time, maybe just 3 days, 2 days, 1 week, 1 month, and you're going back. And then that's when you want to cause conflicts. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Somebody says, if we calculate how much we spent on flight tickets for these 10 years, I can imagine, Cordelia, 10 years, that's a long time. Even if the flight tickets were 100 naira, that's a long time. So, whatever be the case, that was your choice. So, ensure that you make it sacred anytime that you meet. And don't just, some people just meet to come back and have sex together. No, 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 no. Don't just do that. Make it also a time for emotional bonding. Again, I say that's why everybody needs to be in the couples conclave. The couples conclave it supports you, helps you on your journey. It's lifelong. There are people who have been in the conclave now for 4 years. So it is lifelong. We hold your hands, show you the way, help you to achieve some of these things that I'm telling you to achieve. You're going to be watching a video on the couples conclave when we're done with this. So it will give you, for those of you who are wondering what is the couples conclave, it will give you an idea. It will give you an idea. So, number 6, when conflicts do happen, when you're living separately, please deal with conflicts quickly and maturely. Deal with conflicts quickly and maturely. I told you that you need to have conflict resolution skills in your marriage. You can't afford to have conflicts that you don't resolve when you live separately. Again, you are worse hit than people who live together. So when you have conflicts, you must sit down and you must solve them, resolve them. Very, very important. Don't start doing silent treatment when you are living apart or ghosting the partner. That is another evil thing. I've mentioned many evil things today, right? So silent treatment, ghosting a partner, that's evil. Don't do it. Don't do it. Pursue purpose, community, and healing. That's what you need to do. Don't spend your time looking for how to set traps for each other because you had a conflict. Spend your time looking for how to make peace. Spend your time looking for how to make peace. It's very, very important. When issues come up, address them with respect. Don't be sarcastic about things. Look, again, there are things you can't afford to do when you live separately. When you live together, there are conflicts you will have, you're going to lie down with each other in the night or something, and you can talk about it. But when you live separately, you don't have those opportunities. So you want to ensure when there's a conflict, sit down. Use the conflict resolution skills to talk about the conflicts. Conflicts are resolved by talking. Conflicts are resolved by conversations. That's how conflicts are resolved. So don't go silent on your spouse. Have the conversation that is needed. Please, this is very, very important. I said again that I think we're going to have the course resolving conflicts in marriage. You will get the dates. Please just continue to follow us on all our social media platforms. You get the date for that. Okay. Number 7. Keep growing individually. While you're apart, keep growing individually. You need to first grow spiritually. Don't be apart and leave your spiritual growth to chance. Don't do that. That's dangerous. That's another dangerous thing. Make sure that your spiritual growth is well taken care of. Make sure you grow emotionally and mentally. Pursue purpose, community, healing. Become a better version of you each day. Make sure that when your spouse sees you, whenever you people meet physically, your spouse can see a better version of you, a version of you that has decided to do the best, a version of you that has decided to be the best, a version of you that has decided to show the best. Your spouse must see a better version of you every time. This is very, very important. And finally, make sacrifices for reconnection. There is always something to sacrifice in life. Sometimes you need to sacrifice that job. You need to sacrifice that school. You need to sacrifice that money that you need to travel down with. There's always something to sacrifice. But never put your relationship on the altar for sacrifice. That is one sacrifice that is too costly. And getting it back is difficult. It's not every time that you are going to get an Isaac back, if you get what I mean. Abraham took Isaac to sacrifice Isaac because God had said, "Come, sacrifice him." But God gave Isaac back when he saw Abraham doing what he wants. Now, that was God's prerogative. Do not take your relationship and put it on the altar and expect that, oh, I think it will get back to me. You may never get it back. There are people now who are, I'm solving relationship issues because of distance right now, that we've been on this for like a year trying to resolve it, but it's not as easy. Will it get resolved? Yes, by the grace of God, eventually it will get resolved, but the time is going to take to get it resolved. Because when you have stayed 10 years, 15 years apart, that's a lot of time under the water. So make sacrifices, and this will make sure that your marriage stays intact. I hope that you've learned something from me today. It's been exciting. Do we have questions? If we have questions, quickly put them there in the comment section so that we can answer them. I can answer a few questions right now. So if you have questions, put them there in the comment section. I will answer them and we will be done. But while we're waiting for that, please remember what I said. If your marriage is not doing well, stop watching it. A marriage is either going up or it's coming down. Every time that you think your marriage is just okay, it's actually going down. Yes. So your marriage is either going up or going down. If it's not if it's not exciting, know that your marriage is most likely going down. Like I always say, a bad marriage is like a tuber of yam that gets spoiled at the head. Looking at the yam from outside, it looks okay. But the day you want to cook it, you slice, the first slice is rotten, second slice is rotten, third slice is rotten. You find out that the entire tuber of yam is gone. That's how some marriages are. They're just a cocoon, but there's nothing inside it. You need to find out if your marriage has that, and you need to sit down and ask yourself questions and then come and seek counseling. All right, so this is where we're going to end today. I don't see any questions. I just see people saying thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so thank you too for being here. We see ourselves again next Friday, where we come with another edition of this beautiful Friday live. You're going to be watching some videos immediately after this. Now, the first of it is going to be talking to you about the couples conclave. Yes, I had said that I promised that you will hear something about the couples conclave. So please watch this and learn about the couples conclave. My name is Kunle Ologe, marriage counselor, founder of the Marriage Academy. And oh, by the way, I'm currently in the US for the TIP Summit. So if you're in the US with me, please, you'll get details also as videos follow immediately I'm done. Please join us. We're going to have the summit on the 12th. That's tomorrow, 12th, Saturday, here in Maryland, USA. So please make sure you are physically there with us. Register online. We're also going to have a dad's conference after that on the 13th of this same July. That's going to be on Sunday. So on Saturday, we have the TIP Parent Conference. Yes, it's the TIP Summit, the Intentional Parent Academy Summit. We're having that on Saturday. Then we're having the Dads Gathering on Sunday for just the men. We're going to be there sitting, talking, eating, and having a nice time and just talking about fatherhood. The details will follow after this. God bless you all. Please enjoy. Accountability and Rejuvenation Program of the Marriage Seal Academy. In this program, we bring couples together from all over the world to join hands, learn, and be taught on the things that you need to do to make sure your marriage is always on fire. It begins every year in January all through to November of the same year. We take a break in December and start again the next January. One of the things that you get to do in the Couples Conclave is that every single day there is a tip on marriage that is shared to all the couples. Every week we have a bonding activity that helps couples to come together and bond. Every month we give one master class on one particular aspect of marriage. And once every year we have a physical retreat where we take ourselves to a resort and have a nice time for a few days. Retreats in Abuja, in the next one in Uyo. Over the past 4 years that we have had this couples conclave, we've had a lot of testimonials from couples who come in as maybe fighters in some cases, and then they eventually become lovers because they've come to learn what it is that they have not known on marriage. There's so much that you can learn in marriage, and the Couples Conclave creates that community where you can come and create that culture of the right marriage, the way God ordained it to be. My name is Kunle Ologe, Marriage Counsellor, founder of the Marriage Seal Academy, and I am the chief host of the Couples Conclave. Join us for the 2026 Couples Conclave program. Registration. Hi, my name is Kunle Ologe, Marriage Counsellor and founder of the Marriage Seal Academy. And I'm going to be at the TIP Summit US. It will hold in Maryland, and that will be on the 12th of July. You can also begin to register for it today. Finally, in the same USA, Maryland, I'm going to be at the Dads Gathering organized by Dads University, and it's going to be on the 13th of July. All this will be time for me to meet you, teach you, and guide you on everything marriage and parenting. Join me there.
And where are you going to so quietly?
I'm following the Marriage Seal Academy. They're having a webinar right now.
Journey, a sacred bond filled with love, laughter, and purpose. But like every journey, it's not always smooth. Sometimes the road gets rocky, misunderstandings arise, communication breaks down, the spark begins to fade. But here's the truth: you don't have to face it alone. Just as you wouldn't drive through a storm without guidance, you shouldn't navigate the storms of marriage without the right direction. That's where marital counseling comes in. not as a last resort, but as a lifeline.
So tell me
A
what
safe
exactly.
space where hearts are had, perspectives are restored, and love is rekindled. Don't just hope your marriage gets better, work towards it with wisdom, clarity, and practical tools that create lasting change. With over a decade of proven experience, Kunle Ologe has guided countless couples back to connection and purpose through biblical principles, compassionate listening, and practical counsel that works. Whether you're newly married, feeling distant, or at the edge of giving up, there's hope and there's help. Book your virtual or on-site session today with Kunle Ologe and take the first step towards healing, growth, and a marriage that thrives. Because with the right knowledge applied at the right time, your love story can be rewritten.